YouTube. So we have this for posterity. And Lydia Houston, this mic is all yours.
Thank you, birthday girl. Okay, I am happy to be back with you again, reading from John Mundy's Living A Course in Miracles. The last time I was with you, we read a really in-depth, wonderful chapter called Why Is This Happening to Me? And I just want to recap what we went over before. Um, there are no events that are just catastrophic and should never have happened to someone. And is that is true of everything, right up to the death of a loved one. Everything that happens to us is for our highest good. We may not be able to see it. I mean, especially when it just happened and we're right in the middle of it. But everything that happens is for our highest good, no matter what it is. And we have to keep that attitude in our minds to face life's apparent challenges. And I say apparent because nothing is either challenging or not challenging. It's just stuff that happens. And the way we choose to process it, the way we choose to see it, the way we choose to let it affect us is what actually makes it a detrimental event or a blessing. And so John Mundy shared with us, or with his readers, about how he faced bankruptcy, the loss of a business, leaving his profession, and having, being deserted by a spouse. All of these things, I don't know if they happened all at once, but I know that these things can seem catastrophic. And his writing let us know that he was able to embrace what happened after these events, these seemingly catastrophic events, and how he was blessed. Beyond all belief, he was blessed. And that is it for all of us, no matter what. And I did share that my husband went through a bankruptcy, the loss of his business, and the desertion of himself by his wife. So, and he said that it was the best things that ever happened to him because he found me and he's happy. And I am so grateful that he tells that story because it's the story we tell, not just to other people, but to ourselves, that really matters. You could be living in a hovel in the middle of nowhere and telling your story in a positive light, and good things will happen for you. Positive things will happen for you. But we can all tell the poor me story. Most of us are telling that story. No matter how good our lives seem to be, most of us are telling that story of poor me. How could this happen to me? Why isn't life better? Why don't I have this? When we could all be extremely grateful for the events in our life if we chose to be. So I am going to get right into chapter 13, self-observation. And right before I get into it, I would like to say that Socrates said the unexamined life is not worth living. And that's what we're going to be talking about here. So, self-observation, watching, witnessing, and willingness. You are not sufficiently vigilant against the demands of the ego to disengage yourself. This need not be. A Course in Miracles. A man hears of a guru who knows 3 secrets, the 3 most important things that anyone can know. These secrets will enable him to unlock the mysteries of the universe. He travels over the most difficult of terrains, crossing many rivers, deserts, and mountains. After years of searching, he finds the guru and tells him how long it has taken him and all the difficulties he had to go through. And would he now please tell him the 3 secrets? The guru looks at him and says, "Very well then. 1, pay attention. 2, pay attention. 3, pay attention." According to American psychiatrist Dr. David Hawkins, spiritual devotion is a continuous inner lifestyle that incorporates constant watchful awareness. Course student / teacher Pamela Silberman, author of Simply Being, applies this principle of watchful awareness in terms of the old children's game called I Spy. I spy an attack thought. I spy myself being judgmental. I spy a belief in specialness. I spy myself slipping into guilt. With this game, we can observe every story we want to tell ourselves about the world. Once we see the game, we are then in a position where we can more easily let it go. We do nothing. We simply do not play into the silly game. Watching and wallowing. Watching the mind from a detached position can be done with composure and serenity. Watching is different than wallowing. Seeing the mind means developing some control over it. We are then no longer simply reactionary. When some difficulty comes up, we can ask ourselves, what is this for? What purpose does it serve? How am I to respond? Shall I rely on old buddies like guilt and fear, attack and defense? Or is there a better way? Everyone here has entered darkness. A Course in Miracles. Hiding in the shadow. There is a story about a Middle Eastern traveler who was sleeping one night in his tent. He began to get hungry and started thinking about the bag of dates he had in his satchel. He turned on his flashlight and dug into his bag of dates and noticed that the first one had a worm in it. Ew. So he threw it away. The second date had a worm in it. So he threw that one away. The third date had a worm in it. So he threw that one away. At this rate, he would soon have no dates left. So he turned off the light and ate the rest of the dates. Like the traveler who ate the dates filled with worms, it is easy to pretend that the problem isn't there. Something equivalent to the solitude of the wilderness is an essential part of mystical education. English author and mystic Evelyn Underhill. We have so much resistance to enlightenment that reaching it is not an easy process. After all, the ego wants to do things the way it wants to do it, and it is very attached to its identity as a personality and a body in the world. It took many years of searching, meditation, and struggle before the Buddha reached enlightenment. Mohammed also went through a difficult process of inner reflection before his awakening. Jesus' ministry is prefaced by his 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness, where he goes through a series of grueling temptations by the devil, in parentheses, the ego. The three temptations put before Jesus are descriptive of American psychologist Abraham Maslow. Hierarchy of needs. 1. The need to satisfy the body. Turn stone into bread. 2. The need to show off. Throw yourself off the temple. And 3. The thirst, for power. All these kingdoms of the world can be yours. All are typical ego temptations. And what is Jesus' response? Get thee behind me, Satan. Satan is the great separator, the great divider. Satan is that part of our mind which makes us think we're special. Look straight at every image that rises to delay you, for the goal is inevitable because it is eternal. A Course in Miracles. This world is a hiding place from God. Being preoccupied with the body and our position in the world, it is easy to become more interested in the externals than the infinite within. All the while, there remains the feeling that something, quote unquote, is missing. We long for home, capital H. We long to return to our source, and yet we're persistently distracted. Don't go back to sleep. In living the Course, it may look as though things are getting worse rather than better. We each have a lot of stuff buried in the cellar of our unconsciousness. And as we begin to clean house and begin to remove our projections and realize that they are our projections, as we begin to accept responsibility for the confusion we find around us, the scene can be depressing. But fear not and do not give up. Remember, it is the ego which is frightened, and you are not an ego. Don't throw the book in the wastebasket. Don't stop doing the work. In the Gospels, Jesus asks us to be vigilant, alert, attentive, and observant. According to traditional Christianity, we are to watch out for the devil and the enemies of God. God, however, has no enemies. We are easily seduced into unconsciousness, fantasy, sleep, and dreams. And we do not realize how much we rely on habits for direction and idols for rewards. We are highly vigilant for our idols, our own gods, quote unquote. The way we look, how much money we have, the car we drive, or our status in the community. Yet we lack vigilance for the things of God. Truthfulness, gentleness, open-mindedness, tolerance, etc. We can, however, be just as vigilant against the ego's demands as we are for them. The pitiful abyss of meaninglessness. The ego was not formed in a day, and it's not going to go away quickly. We should be glad that we will not be hurled into reality. The unwinding of the knots of complexity of the ego can be a most difficult process. The ego is a trickster. It may persuade me that I have mastered some part of the course, and then I find, when tested, that I've only given lip service to it, and I need to take it deeper. We do not realize how much guilt we have buried until we begin to look at it. And we should not be surprised to hear that the closer we get to the purified perception, the more frightened the ego becomes. A human being has so many skins inside, covering the depths of the heart. We know so many things, but we don't know ourselves. Why 30 or 40 skins are hides as thick and hard as an ox's, or bears cover the soul? Go into your own ground and learn to know yourself there. German mystic Meister Eckhart. Freud said that in order to experience wholeness, we need to make the unconscious conscious. He said of his own self-analysis that it was like looking into a dung heap. As I began to pull away from the layers of guilt, I find more guilt underneath, and yet I must be willing to look at this darkness, not to confirm its reality. I look at it in order to see that nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. And herein lies the peace of God. A Course in Miracles. In Shambhala, the sacred path of the warrior, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche tells the story of traveling with his teacher and a group of other monks. As they approached the temple, a large, vicious dog tied up outside the temple began to bark at them, yanking at his chain. Suddenly, the chain broke, and the terrified monks ran in horror. As Rinpoche ran, he looked back and saw his master holding out his hand and pointing downward as a command for the dog to stop. The dog put its tail between its legs and went back to his place near the temple. After the monks returned to their teacher, he said, "Always, always run at the fire." As they proceeded into the temple, the dog lay docilely nearby. Running away only deepens dread. Looking the devil in the face is crucial in the undoing of the seeming power of the ego. Open that letter from the IRS. Listen to your doctor. Listen to your body, your wife, your child, your boss. I have to be willing to go into the cave of darkness. I cannot run away. I cannot hide. Every hero or heroine comes eventually to face themselves. Delay only adds on unnecessary pain. As the body is not cleansed with 1 cup of detox tea, 1 fast, or 1 colonic, so I may come to a moment of clarity only to find it fade away, and unwilling to continue watching my thoughts, I may be seduced back into sleep. Awakening comes not in just one moment of clarity. Just as I continue to exercise to keep my body in shape, so can the soul be exorcised by a continued willingness to be vigilant. It is thus that we have 365 lessons in the course, all slowly leading us ever closer to the memory of God. Again and again, have you attacked your brother because you saw in him a shadow figure in your private world? A Course in Miracles. Who knows? Only the shadow knows. On a day-to-day basis, we know more of darkness than the light, because darkness is where we hide. This darkness, lurking within, was described by Swiss psychiatrist Dr. Carl Jung as the shadow, an unconscious complex containing the repressed, intentionally forgotten, quote unquote, aspects of consciousness. The shadow represents a knot in the psychic system. We see these knots in slips of the tongue and behaviors that are out of character or hard to account for. Alcoholism, drug addiction, depression, anxiety, obsessive compulsive behavior, laziness, tiredness, and anger are all manifestations of the shadow. The shadow is slippery. It represents things I do not want to acknowledge in myself, though I see it easily in others. Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. At all counts, it forms an unconscious snag, thwarting our most well-meant intentions. Swiss psychiatrist Dr. Carl Jung. Mark Twain once said that nothing was quite as satisfying as the failure of a friend. Mark Twain. You have to love Mark Twain for his irreverence and his keen ability to call a thing from the ego perspective. Have you ever heard about someone's misfortune and then thought, now I am ahead of them. Now I have more health or wealth than they do? Do you ever experience jealousy upon hearing of a friend's success? Some folks hear our good news and share it gladly, but not always. The shadow lives in the basement, surfacing when I act out or deny I'm in trouble. We see it in overspending, overeating, or overdoing anything. The more our unresolved issues, things we don't want to look at, are pushed underground, the more energy it takes up to keep them there. The more this not looking can drive us crazy. Dr. Carl Jung describes how in therapy one day, a 45-year-old patient suddenly blurted out, "But I could never admit that I wasted the last 25 years of my life." Until we look at the shadow, we're at its mercy. Not until we look at this darkness are we able to dissipate some of the ego's energy. Your ego is smarter than you are, way smarter. And if you don't realize or recognize that and respect it, you stand very little chance against it. Jed McKenna, Spiritual Enlightenment, the Damnedest Thing. While teaching in Sing Sing, I had a prisoner tell me that he was glad that he got caught, as he simply could not keep running, hiding, and acting out forever. The only way out was getting arrested. In the movie, Frost Nixon, it was clear that Nixon eventually had to tell the truth. The constant denial became a great burden to him, as hard as it was for him to confess. Living with the lie was even worse than admitting to what the world already knew. Egg in my beard. Ram Dass, formerly Dr. Richard Alpert, one-time professor of psychology at Harvard University, ventured off to India in 1967, where he met Neem Karoli Baba. He became his guru, and in time, Ram Dass became himself a spiritual teacher. Several years after his own awakening, Ram Dass met a woman who had also taken on the role of guru with a number of her own disciples. She had been a housewife from Queens, New York. One day, while relaxing in the bathtub, she had an awakening that led to her expounding her philosophy. When she and Ram Dass met, it was electric. The two of them combined forces and began to lecture in tandem. Ram Dass and his associate were teaching celibacy as part of the process of reaching higher awareness. Yet, they were themselves no longer celibate. Fortunately, Ram Dass is an honest man, and he could not go on for long in this condition, and he acknowledged the mistake in a delightful article titled, Egg in My Beard. We, each of us, get egg in our beards. Our slips show. We pick our nose in the privacy of our car and then notice someone is watching us. We have a little too much to drink at a party and try to pretend we're okay. We become addicted to some negative habit and struggle to break it. We make mistakes. We get fat and struggle to lose weight. We go into debt, and then it seems we cannot get out. Living the course, we allow our brothers and sisters to have egg in their beards, or whatever it is that's strange about one's individual psychology, without letting it take us off balance. We then go ahead and love despite seeming defects, divergences, and difficulties. Realizing that if we see a problem, that problem resides in our own thinking. If anyone has a problem, it can only be me. All your dark lessons must be brought willingly to the light and joyously laid down by hands upon open to receive, not closed to take. A Course in Miracles. It is easier to bury secret thoughts than it is to look at them. And yet, in doing so, the ego continues to run and therefore ruin our lives. We are being asked to go to the root, to the center of the knot, which begins with our selfishness. And thus, our separation. In this sense, the Course is not easy, but the reward of light and love that comes with the demonstration of willingness to look at our shadow is oh so rewarding. Despite the level of darkness, every experience is important in a spiritual growth, and we never know how misfortune may lead to fortune. Failure often comes at the hour of deepest darkness, which precedes the dawning of the day of success. Freedom from ego. Oh, yes. What do they have to say about freedom from ego? Freedom from ego requires perseverance, alertness, and a willingness to stay awake. Once we have demonstrated our willingness to face any problem and be honest about our path in misinterpretation, in misperception, things change. In order for a tree to grow tall, its roots must go deep. The following are a few shadowy tricks of the ego. Watching out for these tricksters, we can take things in a higher level, deeper level. Deeper because we have removed some of the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. Higher because we are now freer than before. Denial. Watch for lying and hiding. Denial is the most subtle and therefore the trickiest of the defenses. It is often easier to come to terms with our enemies than it is with ourselves. Projection is quote unquote out there. It's clear why we are mad. We can probably come up with a list of reasons. It's not always so clear when we are in denial. After all, one of the qualities of denial is to deny being in denial. It is not necessary to bring out all of one's dirty laundry and hang it up for the world to see. That would not be truly pleasant or helpful for the world or for us. What we are being honest with is our lives. What we hide is nothing, but we do not know that as long as we cherish our secret sins and hidden hates, not only do we watch and witness, we must go further and accept our part in the dreaming of the world and willingly relinquish our role as guardian of the ego. The escape from darkness involves two stages. First, the recognition that darkness cannot hide. This step usually entails fear. Second, the recognition that there is nothing you want or hide. Even if you could. This step brings escape from fear. When you have become willing to hide nothing, you will not only be willing to enter into communion, but will also understand peace and joy. Watching for embellishment and elaboration. When temptation arises to lie about even small things, an exaggeration, some embellishment, overstatement, or understatement, and how hard we work, or how much money we spent, or how we were mistreated, ask, etc., etc. When asked a question, can I answer about as truthfully as possible? Why do we sometimes say, I'll be honest with you? Does that mean that at other times we are being dishonest? Watching for the embellishment and elaboration. When temptation arises to lie about even small things, an exaggeration, some embellishment, overstatement, or understatement about how hard we work, or how much money we spent, or how we were mistreated, ask, why would I want to engage in an embellishment? Do I really need to go there? What would want to exaggerate or elaborate except an ego? When asked the question, can I answer as truthfully as possible? Why do we sometimes say, I'll be honest with you? Does that mean that at other times we are not being honest? It's important to feel clean. The soul by nature loves clarity. Cleanliness makes things beautiful. A receptive mind is conflict free. Ah, I knew I was hearing something. That is Jim, and he probably needs help bringing something in. So I need to take a break just for now and go help him. Hold on.
Hey, Dove, or Lynn, I don't know, this is McKaylee, it's something that Lydia just read about Ram Dass that he was talking about, or his students to be celibate, but yet he wasn't celibate himself. Does anybody know anything about that?
I don't know anything about that.
I never heard that ever. That doesn't sound like Ram Dass for some reason.
Yeah, but that's John's book and his sorry, I had to go out a minute. My cat was making a noise. So I
Huh?
must have missed something.
I'll ask John. I just never heard that.
There she is. You're muted.
Hello there, Dove.
Hi, Lydia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You're enjoying John's book. Let me ask you the thing on Ram Dass not being celibate. Do you know anything about that at all?
No, no, actually, I do not. I'm not familiar with Ram Dass's
Uh-huh.
writing. Can you elaborate?
No, I never heard that. I have to ask John if it's true.
Yeah, I know that the course is not about behavior. Um, and if we if we think we have to um give up certain practices or like go on a diet or something, we are making it real and we're not really doing the course. We're actually like making it about behavior in the world, which is an illusion.
Very,
um,
I mean, what you just said is beautiful, truly. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. You know what, the more I read the course, the deeper it goes. But sometimes I like it when John said near the beginning, about the the game, the children's game, I Spy. I spy an attack thought. I spy myself being judgmental. I spy a belief in specialness. I spy myself slipping into guilt. Yeah, that constant vigilance with watching what we're doing and noticing even the smallest way our ego's trying to run the show, even in the most seemingly spiritual acts. Are we doing it for, just this one person or a self-aggrandizement? We just have to watch for it. If we do something really wonderful for someone, do we have to tell a friend? Do we have to, somehow make it known that we did it? It's the ego is insidious. It finds a way it finds a way to make it about us personally and our specialness and our individual story. And I do watch for that. Some days I feel free, but I'm only free of it because possibly that day I didn't see many people. Or I wasn't dealing with many people that day. So I can say, yeah, I was free of it this day, but I love it when I can watch for it and say, hey, you know what? You can do things differently. I know what you're thinking, but you can think differently. What, what's the motivation behind this that you're doing? What what do you want to get from it? And the course says that um, knowing what you want in every instance is the key. Do you want the peace of God, or do you want something else? Anything else that's not the peace of God is something driven by the ego. If you don't want total peace out of this situation, this action, whatever you're doing, look at your motivation. What do you really want?
So
Um,
I was looking, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I thought you were done. Sorry.
oh, go on, go
There's an
on.
article, I'm reading an article from the Sun,
Hmm.
and this is a guy who interviewed Ram Dass. And I guess there's an article that he wrote about it, that
Oh,
Ram Dass wrote about it, called Egg on My Beard. The guy says in his books and lectures, he keeps refining his message. His
mhm.
appeal is no longer merely to hippies and rebels, but to a broader constituency. I'll go on through that. A few years ago, he became involved spiritually and romantically with a teacher named Joya in New York City. It was a disillusioning experience exposing Ram Dass to his own spiritual greed. After 15 months, he disavowed her teachings. He wrote an article about it called Egg on My Beard, and many of his admirers were let down. Among the many inconsistencies of his life during that time, he insisted his own students be celibate while he was making love with Joya, who was married. Finally, he wrote, I had to admit that I had conned myself. So, yeah, I,
Mm,
I guess he was.
Thank you,
wow,
Lynn.
Yeah.
that's amazing.
I,
Oh,
I was thinking on what you were sharing earlier. Yeah, if we're looking at somebody else and judging them in any way, that's always the ego.
mm-hmm,
So loves to watch somebody's behavior to to assess whether they are uh, acceptable or not acceptable.
mm-hmm,
But all I'm really doing is I am either judging myself, because if I'm judging, the only one that's going to get hurt, like lesson 198, only my own judgment can injure me. Only my own forgiveness can set me free. So, when you stop judging your brother, no matter what he's done, and that's always in behavior. And you were so right, Lydia, for saying only the ego looks at the behavior. We,
mm-hmm,
on the other hand, the only thing that that we can look at ourselves is that slogan I use, which basically I have on my computer. A sense of separation from God is the only lack that you need to correct. So if I feel separate from God in any way, that is something that needs to be corrected. But the fact that my brother is doing something he shouldn't do has nothing to do with that.
mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, even judging, and usually it's something like judging within your own family. But when I catch myself agreeing with someone else's judgment of someone else, I know that I've slipped. I've taken a step backwards, because in agreeing with someone else's judgment of a brother, I'm actually not seeing that brother as myself. I'm seeing him as some separate, guilty individual. And that is where I get off course. No pun intended. So yeah, I do that, especially when I feel myself uh like, I like the writings of Timber Hawkeye. He is the he's the Buddhist boot camp purveyor, and he is like absolutely wonderful in his honesty about his own life. He does not claim to be enlightened. Uh, he's just following a path. Yeah, it is a path, sometimes dualistic, but I see that his honesty in not judging other people and being able to do that, and even letting his readers know when he has been judgmental. And I really like his writing because it's very human. We all have those slips, but the course helps us correct ourselves. Well, it helps the Holy Spirit get to our mind to correct ourselves. And the more we are exposed to the thoughts, and we have to be exposed to them on a daily basis. It is so necessary to be exposed on a daily basis to actually let this go deeper and change your belief system. And that's all the ego is, a belief system and separation. It's nothing more. It's not
Yeah.
it's not all encompassing, and it's not this giant monster.
Yeah.
It's just a belief in separation.
That was very well said, Lydia. Thank you. Yeah, it's a belief system based on form, and of course, one of the great lines in the course, which Ken Wapnick uses a lot: never confuse form with content. Because
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is only concerned with content. The most you can ever say about myself or anyone is he was a man who saw the face of Christ in all that he met, and he remembered God. So that's content. Form, no one's going to look good in form, and if they do, and they do look good in form, it's their ego that's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, if they do look good in form, it's the ego making them look good in form. Yeah. Oh, Dove, thank you so much. I am looking forward to your class in quantum counseling. Uh, yeah, I'm taking quantum counseling.
Oh,
Actually, I
great.
could not wait as soon as I heard about it. I saw the teachers and I said, I want to be a part of that. Even if I'm not going to be counseling professionally, um, I do want to be a better listener.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well,
And that's what it's going to help me.
yeah, it should be really interesting. I wouldn't mind listening to all the teachers too.
Yeah, I yesterday I was taking my sister to see a house and I missed the first one, but I have access to the replay, so I'll probably be playing that tonight.
Yeah, I'm in June. And
Oh, June?
I think it's on June 21 or 22. It's a Tuesday. Yeah, something like that.
Oh, so you're going to be the teacher for June, huh? Oh,
Well, yeah, the 17 teachers are only 12 months, so I guess she has more than one teacher in a month or something like that. But it's you know Jennifer's a really great teacher herself.
yes, she is. She is. I truly I enjoyed oh gosh, changing your mind about the body. That was really enlightening. So many teachers with so much wisdom. And I connected with Cindy Laura Renard most of all when she was it was a great teaching in not making the body real. And I really, it's sometimes it's hard not to make the body real when you're seemingly going through pain. You're seeing a friend or a family member with seemingly really challenging illness.
Yeah.
It's difficult, and not making the body real doesn't just mean not making your
Well,
body real, but not seeing other people as bodies.
Jesus
Yes.
realizes that, and that's why he uses "I'm not a body, I'm free" 23 times in the course. I mean, he knows you got to focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's training your mind to not identify as a body. It does take training. I mean, for eons we've been bodies, and now all of a sudden he says, no, you can choose being in your right mind. So going to the Holy Spirit is training your mind that there's another way of seeing this. In your right mind, there are no bodies.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Jennifer on
good.
Sunday at 3. I don't know if you know that.
No.
She's on every Sunday at 3 p.m. on a Zoom session. Uh,
Oh.
I'll send you the thing in your
Oh
email.
yeah, thanks. I didn't know that.
Yeah, she has she usually gets about 40 people, and they do breakouts,
Mm-hmm.
and she's usually the main teacher, but she has guests every now and then.
Who is this?
Jennifer Hadley.
Oh, Jennifer. Yeah. Oh
She's,
God, yeah, she's amazing. I love
Every
Jennifer.
Sunday at
Oh,
3.
yeah.
I wanted to tell you guys, I just got an email or a message from Rico,
What happened?
and he's just wishing me happy birthday and saying that he really misses us, and as soon as he feels strong enough, he'll be coming back. So
Nice.
very excited to hear that. So very excited to hear that. I love me some Rico.
Who's Rico?
Well, he's in our other groups. I,
He's from LA,
mhm,
and he's a lovely guy.
yeah.
Is he in the Joel Goldsmith group?
Yes, if he
Some of them?
he just recently had surgery.
Oh,
He had liver cancer, and so they just did surgery on him recently. So he hasn't been around for a while. So that's why I'm so excited. I got a message from him to
that
wish me
means
happy
he's up
birthday.
and around.
Yeah, yeah, that means
He
he's
can type.
yeah, he's still amongst us. So I'm excited, and I mean, no, all people in our other groups are going to be really happy to hear that I heard from Rico because every week people ask, "Have you heard from Rico?" But yeah, I think it was hard on him the whole thing. So um, I'm
Yeah.
grateful to hear that he's still with us. So all right, well, Lydia,
Ah, you know what? Next week I will be here again. We didn't find the perfect house, but um, I'm looking for Vita, and we're still out there searching, but we won't be seeing a house next Friday though. I will definitely be here. Um, it has been so wonderful to be with you. I actually am helping my stepdaughter plan her wedding. So I have to FedEx something to her, and I'm going to run out to FedEx and get that item in the mail for her. Um, I have enjoyed this so much, and Dove, I cannot thank you enough for stopping by. And I'm looking forward to your class. And I love the fact that it's a full 2 hours. These classes are a full 2 hours, just like any college course. It's not, I mean, you can only get in depth in, you know, longer than 40 minutes, longer than 45 minutes. And I'm looking forward to the deeper teachings of how to really be present with someone when they are suffering, when they are, you know, trapped in whatever, and listening with the
Yeah.
Holy Spirit.
Actually, my main teaching is right on my card. Be grateful for your triggers because they reveal your mistaken beliefs. The truth is everybody comes here to get triggered.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you listen to Ken Wapnick, you came here to suffer.
Yep. To suffer on Psycho Planet. Yep.
Yeah. Because by being a victim, by being a victim, you're getting rid of the guilt, so you think. Projection makes perception, and poor me, I'm innocent. Don't punish me. So all we do is keep punishing ourselves. That's all.
Mhm. And it's not just on an individual basis. It's like whole races of people, whole groups of people. You know, I have really worked on not seeing myself as a victim of the world I see. Not not uh not by any way, shape, or form am I a victim. I chose this life on a higher level that I do not remember, and this is the life, and specifically being a person of color so that I could suffer in a certain way and make someone else guilty for it. And
Well,
even realizing that is
yeah,
a
well,
step.
I'm
Beautiful. That's beautiful, Lydia. Thank you
a
for
minority
that.
too, and I know as a minority, you definitely don't feel equal. And of course, the whole idea of a course is only equals enjoy the peace of God, which basically, if you see yourself as either better or worse than anybody,
Hmm?
you're listening to the ego thought system. I put Jennifer's email there, Jennifer H at jenniferhadley.com. If you email her, just has to go on her Sunday mailing list for her Sunday Zoom session, and she sends out an email about 1 o'clock every Sunday.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And I will be with you all again next week.
Thank you, Lydia. So grateful to have you. Thank
And
you,
happy
everyone who hung
birthday,
out.
Lynn.
Thank you. Yep,
So
we're gonna
glad
go.
you were born in this illusion with me at the same time.
I
Okay.
know it. It was just for you. You know the truth now. All right. Thank you so much. I love you.